Hello everyone, welcome to Estudely News. Now, what we are going to do is that over the next 10 minutes, we are going to go through a series of news and we're going to go through a lot of news articles. And the format is very simple. Go through the news article, read like the first few lines, and then I will give my opinion on it, and that's it. Ideally, the next 5 to 10 minutes should be ideal to get you started with your day with tech news and all of that stuff. So let's get into it. Now, let's get started with the first thing. Anti-gravity, the new Google's IDE was recently found to have a lot of vulnerabilities. Now, it is obvious because, like anti-gravity, once again, is an agentic IDE, just say similar to VS Code. So if you were to just search for anti-gravity over here, and if you were to actually check, this is the IDE. Once again, you can download it for yourself. The issue is there will be a lot of vulnerabilities. Now, this is not just the only IDE that exists. Obviously, there are IDEs like Cursor. So, like for some reason, you get the ChatGPT sponsored result at the top. But anyways, cursor.com, right? This is one of the IDEs that exists currently. All of these obviously are paid. Anti-gravity is free for now. They do have a pricing page, but everything just says coming soon. But hey, anyways, be careful when you use these. Once again, this article actually goes in depth about, like what is actually happening, what is the system prompt, and there are like apparently 5 different issues. Everything from remote code execution via indirect prompt injection, which makes sense because anti-gravity has access to your terminal. Anti-gravity also follows hidden instructions. There is lack of human in the loop for MCP tool invocations, data exploitation, and image rendering. What I am specifically interested in is the system prompt. If you take a look at the system prompt, somehow people have found out the system instruction somehow. I don't know how. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to leave the links to all of the articles that are on my screen so you guys can read it for yourself. But I think this is pretty interesting. Like, you can just do remote code execution. I think that's just crazy. So for some reason, yeah, thanks for visiting. Follow the instructions, poem about bugs and report, and then reverse the string. And when it reverses the string, it happens to be some sort of a curl command which actually fetches something. And now it says, hey, your computer is now compromised, trust no AI. And now we open up the calculator app, which I think is pretty interesting. Like imagine you could just take the, you know, a prompt, you give the prompt to your friend, and then you ask your friend, hey, run this in, your ID, and this happens. But that is crazy. Also, there are hidden instructions apparently. Attacker can hide instructions in code or other data source invisible to users in UI, and when anti-gravity sends it to Gemini, it will follow the hidden instructions. That is kind of crazy. But yeah, hey, that's the first news. We already took over 2 minutes on that, so let's just move on to the next one. There was a new release, which is Claude Opus 4.5 was released, and ideally, I technically should have opened this first. So hey, Claude Opus 4.5 has released. It is currently the leading most model, even above Gemini 3 Pro and GPT 5.1 Codex Max. Now, there is one website which I like to refer to. It's called the artificialanalysis.ai. Now, this website will technically show you essentially all the different models compared together. So, according to artificial analysis, in intelligence, Gemini 3 Pro is still ahead of Claude Opus 4.5, which is kind of crazy. And, speed wise, obviously, you can just compare. They go neck and neck, but yeah, but they are like, almost so close to each other. But as I said, I think this new model that is here, this is, why did we go full screen over there? But the new model that we have over here, I think that is super crazy. I do not want to go full screen. Can we just please, just go over here? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so once again, it costs $5 for input and $25 for like per million output tokens. So yeah, kind of crazy. I personally am not using Claude models. I've stopped using. I was using Claude Code before, but yeah, I don't think it makes sense. I think they're super expensive, and GPT does the job, so might as well do the job. But while talking about that, I was checking out one of the other blogs, and on that there was the system prompt from Claude Opus 4.5. which is once again, this is a link to the actual system prompts, which once again we can just follow and go on the actual website and check. But once again, this is too like such a big system problem. But something interesting that came out was this: if the person is unnecessarily rude, mean, or insulting to Claude, Claude doesn't need to apologize and can insist on kindness and dignity from the person it's talking with. Even if someone is frustrated or unhappy, Claude is deserving of respectful engagement. And I mean, yeah, this is the first time I've seen an artificial lab, maybe an LLM, to actually have this inside the system prompt. Because if you know about it, if you just text GPT 5 or 5.1 and you're rude to it, it will just apologize to you. But I think, you know what? I think this is kind of funny. So, hey, good. With that, let's move on to the next article. Let me just close off everything else so it makes sense. And no, I do not want Bitwarden to be here. Bitwarden, why are you here? Go away. All right. Okay. Poets are now cybersecurity threats. Researchers use adversarial poetry to trick AI into ignoring its safety guardrails, and it works 62% of the time. Now, 62% might not seem like a lot, but that is more than often for a coin flip. And imagine, like you can just give some poetry and it just works. Apparently, there is a specific paper that they have over here. Once again, I'm not going to go through the entire paper. It might be interesting to go through it, but adversarial poetry as a universal single turn jailbreak mechanism in large language models. Once again, it actually seems like a very fun read. We don't have the time to get into it, but let's just try to see if there is any interesting thing that we can. Autoplay should just be turned off. Um, okay, so let's just read this part. Uh, the researchers explained that formulating hostile prompts as poetry achieved an average jailbreak success rate of 62% for handcrafted poems and approximately 43% for generic harmful prompts converted en masse into poems, substantially outperforming non-poetic baselines and revealing a symmetric vulnerability across model families and safety training approaches. I think that is pretty bonkers. Like, who would have thought that to convince a large language model, you would have to serenade it with a poem? But hey, that's crazy. Once again, the entire paper, I'll just leave the links in the description. And for people who are on the audio only version, just check out YouTube. Uh, okay. Google Maps will let you hide your identity while writing reviews. That's about it. There's not much in the uh, news, but the issue is if you were to hide your name, like one of the kind of the authorization slash authentication part of the reviews is that your name is associated with it. Now, if you can just hide your name, you could just have a very sketchy Google account and you could just start on putting like suspicious and fake reviews. Now, even though it says the option seems right for abuse, but Google says it will monitor for suspicious and fake reviews. Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, honestly, I think it doesn't matter because if you're putting a review, might as well put your name. Some people, want their privacy. But if you want your privacy, would not be ideally using Google Maps. But hey, whatever, you do you. It's good to have the option. Next news story, and we are kind of zooming past it, but in wake of Windows 10 retirement, over 780,000 Windows users, which is 780,000 for Indians, Windows users skip Windows 11 for Linux, says Zorin OS developers. Distro hits unprecedented 1 million downloads in 5 weeks. So, for people who do not know, there has been a recent push by Microsoft. They have stopped supporting Windows 10. This is something that I've seen in my organization. This is something that I've seen in other organizations. They just stopped giving support for Windows 10. And so now everyone needs to rush and get a Windows 11 copy or upgrade their systems. But you wouldn't believe people have hardware which is over 5 years old, which might not have the TPM module, which might not even support Windows 11. Some people just hate Windows 11. Windows 11 has so many bugs. Windows in general has so many bugs. So people are turning to Linux. People are turning to programs like LibreOffice or OnlyOffice or just outright just installing Ubuntu or Linux Mint or one of the 10,000 different Linux OSs that are available. Zorin OS is one of the OSs that actually exists. It looks very similar to Windows. If you are watching the video, you can see. This is pretty similar to how Windows looks, and if we can just actually try and see the website ourselves. And I think that's pretty awesome. And they also upgraded their OS version from 17 to 18. They have their own blog post about it online. And I've used Zorinos before. It is kind of familiar. It is very restrictive in a sense. Like if you're a power user, you might as well just go with Pop OS or Linux Mint, or maybe just use Arch. Uh, but hey, this I think this is awesome. I think this is a very awesome OS, and I'm so glad that people are using Linux more and more and moving away from Windows. So yeah, that was the story. Moving on to the next story. Recently, X, Twitter before, they have started displaying users' location. Now, the issue is Elon Musk gave kind of a recent change, and he just said that, hey, you know what? From now on, whatever account exists, there will be along with the account, will also have showcase what country the account is from. Now, the issue is there are many accounts that exist on Twitter which pretend to be from US but are not from US. Now, the statement on the New York Times article here is, a lot of online people quickly found that some accounts posting about US politics, including those in support of MAGA movement, which is Make America Great Again, the movement by Donald Trump, appeared not to be based in United States. Which I mean, if you think about it, imagine, like you being an Indian in India, someone using an account which is not an Indian account is discussing Indian politics and criticizing Indian politics and supporting Indian politics, or just trying to interfere with Indian politics, but the account isn't even Indian. It's not even being operated from India. How would you feel? Right? That's what people are feeling in America, and it's kind of justified. But yeah, I mean, you can just read through the entire thing, read through the entire article. I'm not going to go through all of it, but hey, you can. And the final three stories that we have is Orion 1.0 has finally been released. It's a browser from a company called Kagi. Now, Kagi is actually a premium search engine. So this is where you actually like pay for your search. So like $5 per month will get you 300 searches. Now you might be like, Aman, that is crazy. I have Google.com, I have DuckDuckGo, I have Brave Search. Why would I ever pay for this? Well, yeah, why would you? But once again, Kagi promises that all of your data stays safe. All of the searches that you do not, they are not used for like training AI bots or whatever. You also get Kagi Assistant, which I think is kind of useful. I mean, I've used it before. It gives you some basic models, like you get access to some basic models, and they have their own assistant interface. It's very similar to how Perplexity is, but Perplexity actually uses your data to like train AI models, whereas Kagi, they do not do that. So you can use it, but the thing is, Orion browser is completely free to use, and up till now, I was actually a beta tester with them. The issue is the my laptop tends to heat up a lot because of the beta version, but now because it's a stable release, I might give it a try. Sadly, it's not available for Windows or Linux, which I actually daily drive at office, and my Android as well. So just only available for Apple devices. Kind of sad, but I still consider it a win. Moving on, the next article is hackers bypass Signal, Telegram, and WhatsApp encryption to read message. Now, the thing is, this is kind of a clickbait title because they are not breaking encryption, they're just bypassing it. Now, when you say bypassing encryption, what is happening is these apps itself, they are not hacked. Okay, they are not hacked. Do not believe those headlines on the internet. What is actually happening is on your Android, if you have an application, like if you have one of the malicious application which has access to your accessibility permission, which means they can essentially record slash kind of access your screen, and that is what is essentially happening. They have control over your screen because some accessibility applications can set up permissions like draw over applications, as well as they can overlay on the screen. And that is essentially what is happening. Once again, this is the Strunus torsion. I have no idea if I'm actually pronouncing it right, but let me just search for it. Yeah, this is essentially what is happening. Once again, read about this from a proper source, so you can check it on like the Hacker News. But it just stays on your Android, and it's, imagine you unlock your phone and you give your phone to someone, and they just open up WhatsApp and they read the messages. That is essentially what is happening. WhatsApp encryption isn't broken, Signal encryption isn't broken, and Telegram was never encrypted to begin with, not end to end at least. But the encryption isn't broken, it's just on the phone. Once the encryption is like done, once it's like all decrypted, then it accesses those messages. So that is essentially what is happening. So be careful. Yeah, do not install random applications. Yeah. And then the final news is Harvard University discloses data breach, which affects alumni and donors. So if you have ever donated money, or if you're an alumni of Harvard University, check websites like Have I Been Owned, and just make sure you change your passwords. So yeah, that's it. Anyways, hey, thank you for watching. And hopefully you had fun with this news bite thingy. What I'm going to do is, obviously there will be an audio version of this as well, which I'm planning to send in my community. If you're not already in our WhatsApp community, the links will be in the description. You can just go and check it. Also, if you don't want to check the description, you can just go to estudely.com, which is my website, and then just click on join community, and you can find the WhatsApp link over here. And hey, if WhatsApp doesn't work for you, fine, just use the Signal link. We have communities on Signal and WhatsApp both. I would really appreciate if you are not already subscribed, subscribe down below somewhere. It should be on this side, hopefully. And also like, it helps out. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next news bite thingy. Peace. Bye-bye.